right, guys. The Oakland Stroke, David Garibaldi, Tower Power, early 70s. So when I first heard this, just like my reaction to hearing Vital Transformation by Mahavishnu and Billy Cobham's amazing 9/8 groove, this also equally blew my mind. David Garibaldi was not the first drummer to make up funk grooves that didn't have 2 and 4. I believe, James Brown's guy, I can't remember his name. I'll put it in. And Zigaboo from the Meters, he also came up with some really interesting grooves. But David Garibaldi took it to the next level. The patterns he came up with Tower, just brilliant. I mean, learning the Oakland Stroke became sort of a rite of passage for drummers back in the day. Thousands of us would sit there and try and figure out what he played, which was really, really hard in and of itself. But, you know, as I was learning how to play this, it occurred to me, he made it up. This is such a brilliant, absolutely amazing groove. It's so cool. All right. So I'm just going to show you guys how I learned it. So here's the transcription. Now, I don't recommend, believe it or not, learning off of the transcription, because the transcription can't give you the very subtle nuances which make this groove sound so good. But I admit that without the transcription, it's really difficult to figure out what he's playing, because the tune is so fast. It's like coming in around 130 beats per minute. It turns out, in the early 80s, David Garibaldi himself provided a transcription in Modern Drummer magazine. And when I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm making this way too difficult. So yeah, it really isn't that complicated. It sounds complex, but it really isn't. All right, so the first thing is the hi-hat. That's really one of the foundations, one of the keys to making this thing sound good. And the hi-hat, very simply, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. That never changes throughout this entire 2-bar groove. You always play that. That's called an ostinato pattern. Never changes. However, he does open the hi-hat on beat 4 of bar 1 and beat 1 of bar 2, like this. 3, 4. Etc., right? But that's it. So now, so you could practice that. If it's not comfortable, practice it until it's comfortable. And then basically we're going to add the left hand, and this is just an exercise. This isn't the pattern. This is just an exercise to prepare you. So you would do this. 3, 4. A little slower. 3, 4. Just make sure that your left hand is playing ghost notes. You're just tapping the snare drum. You're not hitting it hard. That's important. So don't do this. That's not what's going on here. There's basically, the snare drum is playing mostly ghost notes, and there's 4 accents, which I'll go over. So try it, you know, once you get it slow and it's comfortable, up to tempo, it would be this. 3, 4. Okay? So once that's comfortable, we can add the kick. So we're going to add the kick on beat 1. 3, 4. Okay, then we're going to also add the kick on the last 16th note of the first beat. And I'll slow it down. 3, 4. Okay, now we're introducing some coordination here. So if you've never done that before, you're going to have to get used to hitting that kick on the of 1, the last 16th note, which happens to be the first note of the right hand. So it can be awkward. So real slow, it would be this. 3, 4. Even slower. 3, 4. So you could practice this. Meet it head on. Don't shy away from it. If it's awkward, face it. Face it, overcome it, no matter how long it takes. So I'm going to give you 2 words for success. Patience, perseverance. Those are 2 keys to success in anything, but definitely this. So once that gets comfortable, you can speed it up a little bit. 3, 4. Okay, so that's the first beat. Now we're going to add the second beat. We're going to now accent the first hit on the left hand and not play the second hit and move that to the kick. And that's going to be like this. 3, 4. Notice how much louder that accent is from the ghost notes. Okay, so that's your first accent. The second accent happens to be on the end of 3, and it's tricky because you're going to do a double hit on the snare drum like you did in beat 1, but you're going to accent the second hit. So that's going to be like this. I'll do it slow. 3, 4. That's going to take some coordination. Listen, guys, you don't get better if you stay in your comfort zone, period. The only way you get better is by going outside of your comfort zone and then making that comfortable, and then et cetera, et cetera. That's how you get better. Patience, perseverance. All right, so that brings us to beat 4. Things get a little tricky here. We're going to open the hi-hat on 4. There's no more bass drum, by the way. The kick, we're done with the kick for this bar. 3, 4. So you open the hi-hat on 4 and then on 1 of the next bar. But here's an exercise for you to get comfortable, because here's, in essence, what he's doing. Just do it all in the hi-hat. Or the snare. So a couple times I did a flam there. You're not supposed to flam. So let's put the entire first bar together at a slow tempo. 3, 4. That last open hi-hat is beat 1 of the next bar. So let's see if I can just cycle around the first bar. Yikes. Okay, 3, 4. Okay. Now we're going to go to the second bar. This is what really fucked me up. I got to say that until I sort of took a breath and did what I always used to tell my students to do, and that's just take it apart like we're doing and separate it out into manageable chunks. You know what? I'm going to play the whole bar and then we'll break it down. And I'll do it slow. 3. First, I'll do the whole thing. How's that? I'll do the whole groove. Bar 1 into bar 2. 3, 4. So The first beat of bar 2, open hi-hat. That's the only thing that's going on there. And then on the snare. So you're going to hit the snare drum on the E of beat 2. 3, 4. Then you're going to add the bass drum on the end of beat 2, bar 2. 3, 4. And then you're going to do, this is the only time going into beat 3 of bar 2 where the left hand and the right hand are doing the exact same thing. And that's going to be this. 3, 4. Okay, so that brings us to beat 3. So then we do E on the kick drum after the downbeat of beat 3, and then and on the snare. And you got it, that's your next accent. So now this is accent number 3. 2 accents in bar 1, 2 accents in bar 2. So 4 accents altogether. Everything else is a ghost note. So that's going to be on the and of 3. So hey guys, this is Future Gary. I was editing this video and realized I completely ignored beat 4 of the second bar, which is arguably the most important bar because it's where you turn around to get back to the downbeat of the beginning of the phrase. So interestingly, beat 4 is the only time the bass drum is on the beat in this entire thing. Because after you start the groove the first time, the kick is on 1, but every time after that it's anticipated before the downbeat of the first bar. This is a 2-bar phrase, remember. So anyway, I'm going to play you just beats 3 and 4 of the second bar because I feel that the phrase, or the sort of chunk, if you will, is actually comprised of beats 3 and 4. So it's going to go 1, 2. Okay, so that's beats 3 and 4. A little faster. 1, 2. So that's it. Back to the video. 3, 4. Okay, so that's the second bar. Let's put the 2 together, you get this. 3, 4. Okay, now let's do it up to tempo. 1, 2. I could have bragging rights if this was my groove, if I invented it, if I wrote it. I didn't. I'm just copying it. So yeah, I get some props for that. I took the time to learn how to play it. But again, and I know I'm beating this to death, but you have to understand the brilliance of it is that he conceived it in the first place. It's just so cool. All right, guys, hope you got something out of this. This is a long one, I know. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.